Camping has always unfortunately been part of Call of Duty, but sometimes maps are so camper heavy that it almost feels like there were habitual campers in those design meetings, like they determined how these maps were built for their own little camping needs. What is up, everybody? Jimmy or Chaos. Today, we're going to be looking at 20 maps from Call of Duty history that I have convinced myself were designed by campers. Yeah. You let me know which of these maps you camp the hardest on. Circle of Trust is always in the comment section. I read every single comment on every single video. Thank you for all the love you guys continuously show me every single day on this long standing channel. Drop a like on the video, and we're going to start off with I would call it a super obvious one. At number 20, St. Petrograd in Modern Warfare 2019. Spoiler alert. You're going to be hearing a lot about Infinity War maps on this list. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. Now, St. Petrograd was definitely a pretty map. Layout seemed like it would be one of the faster paced ones in the game on paper, but as you probably know, that's not how it played out. Petrograd was set on an urban street, meaning you could dip in and out of the various buildings if you wanted to avoid running out in the open. And as you would have probably guessed in a game like this, that meant everyone was just sitting in the buildings and waiting for people to run by. Also didn't help the fact there were several very powerful second-story window positions that encourage you to sit there with claymores and pick off players who were actually trying to play aggressively. I think it's a great way to start the list. It's crazy because when you look at the layout of this map from top down, it really seems like this should have been a fast-paced map, but it wasn't. Nobody moved here. It was like Mannequin City. At number 19, Gustav Cannon, World War II. Obvious pick. Let's get the obvious ones out of the way early today. Gustav was known for the ultra-slow pace, the abundance of camping spots. Obviously, the main camping spot is dead center of the map where people would sit on top of the cannon and snipe down on enemy players, but people sometimes forget about the two buildings by the A and C flags in Domination, which is where everyone else camped. So if you weren't camping in the middle of the map, or trying to challenge the campers in the middle of the map, you were sitting in one of those home buildings and pretending to have fun. Everything about the map was campy. It was. The entire match revolved around camping, which is just sad. Guys, before we move on, link at the top of the description and hopefully pinned comment will take you straight to the Chaos Gaming Spotify channel. That's right. We have our videos over there. Not only the main Chaos channel if you want to get your Call of Duty content, but the Chaos Gaming channel for all the latest in gaming, and the Chaos Cinema channel if you guys are interested in leaks, rumors, and updates on the latest movies and TV shows. If you do go check it out, do me a favor. Give it a follow and hit me with that 5-star rating. And leave me a comment. At number 18, El Asilo? Modern Warfare 2 2022? I mean, let me describe this map to you. You tell me if you can figure out the problems, okay? It's a test. Dark map where it's really hard to see what's going on. Layout, it's a bunch of wide open space surrounding a central building with a lot of dark corners and a lot of vantage points. So can you tell me what you think the problem is with this map? Because the problems should be all over the place. Making one building the central point of the map, I don't think is a good idea because it means whoever gets to the building first, they're going to camp there for the rest of the match. Are you just asking for campers to camp their butts off? I mean, it's an Infinity War map, so yeah. At number 17, Desert Siege and Call of Duty Vanguard. It's actually a little surprising because Vanguard was actually a pretty fast-paced game, but the map Desert Siege was known for being extremely campy. Bunch of open space, bunch of buildings that give you a little too much control over the way the enemy team is spawning, which made it very tempting to just find a building, call it your own, make it your homestead, crouch behind a head glitch, and sit there for the rest of the game. Just get those easy kill streaks off of people who couldn't possibly challenge you. I know, there are a lot of Vanguard defenders in my community for some reason. I still haven't figured that out, but I think even you guys have to agree, Desert Siege belongs on this list today. For such a fast-paced game, this map seemed out of place. At number 16, a lot of you never experienced this, Downpour in COD4. This map was set in a rainy Russian farm, and the layout was pretty decent, but it was absolutely a campfest because of the dark lighting and the abundance of rain effects whenever you went outdoors. Super difficult to see people moving around because of all the stuff going on while you were looking, which meant everyone would just find this nice, warm, safe place to hunker down and wait for the fighting to come to them. Bonus points if you could secure one of the few indoor areas where you could avoid the rain effects, and then you just waited for people to filter through the door, and you deleted them. There was actually, I think, a daytime variant of this map in Modern Warfare Remastered called Daybreak, and that one was actually pretty good. The layout, honestly, pretty solid when you can see what's going on, but the original Downpour, the name says it all, you rarely got to experience the map at its best because people were sitting around doing nothing, waiting to shoot you through the rain. At number 15, it's been a while since we gave some non-love to Drone and Black Ops 2. Treyarch usually doesn't make super campy maps, but Drone, it was camper's paradise. The map was set on some kind of tech facility in the middle of the jungle, and if you weren't camping in the middle of the map with a sniper rifle, then you were camping in one of the various rooms with a riot shield. So tell me, were you someone who liked to camp in the main building with the center control room, or were you someone who camped in the second story room on the other side of the street? Some crazy people actually tried to run around and flank on this map, which was me, but if you were doing that, you were probably going to get killed by one of the campers at least a few times per match, because even if you knew where the campers were, which I did, the layout of the map gave the camper such an advantage, they always had the drop on you. At number 14, Overgrown in COD4. This is known as the main sniping map in the original Modern Warfare. It actually came back in classic Modern Warfare 2 as well, because, I don't know, I guess somebody over at Infinity Ward thought it was good. Not sure who told them that, but they did. Overgrown was a very large, very open map. Handful of buildings scattered around the map, and it's where everyone would hunker down, wait for the enemies to come into their line of sight, and take them out. There was a building overlooking the bridge, there was a building on the other side of the ravine, and there was a building next to the building on the bridge. And of course, you had the gas station where you would pretty frequently find yourself getting spawn trapped by the people camping in all those buildings I just named. Aggression, it was off the table here. You either found a building to camp in, or you found a new lobby. At number 13, Stonehaven and Call of Duty Ghosts. You knew it was going to be here somewhere. I'm going to put it at number 13. Yeah, they're going to get slower today, campier. Stonehaven is known for being one of the biggest 6v6 maps in Call of Duty history. I need to go do research and see what the actual biggest map is in COD history. Give me your best guess in the comment section. And because of the insane size, the only winning strategy here seemed to be to just secure a small section of the map and hopefully wait for people to funnel to you. You tried to run around and get work done, you were going to get sniped by somebody you couldn't even see. And then you'd spawn on the other side of the map, and then you'd get killed while making that mile-long trek back to where you were. Nobody moved. Everybody would pick a spot on the map to call home, and they wouldn't leave that 20-foot radius. Stonehaven, it's one of the most iconic maps in Call of Duty history for all the wrong reasons, and it's beautiful. At number 12, Euphrates Bridge in Modern Warfare 2019. Now, I have compared Euphrates Bridge to Gustav Cannon many times on this channel. I think it's solid. Not the map, the comparison. Their layouts were really similar. They're massive maps with a huge piece of high ground in the dead center of the map where everybody would just sit and shoot down at enemy players. If you weren't lucky enough to get up to the middle of the map, you were going to have to be okay with camping. I mean, somewhere else, because if you tried to run around the middle of the map, you were done. You were blown up immediately. Euphrates Bridge could honestly be fun if you were lucky enough to get the good camping spot in the middle of the map. But if you were literally anywhere else, 90% of the lobby, you were going to get killed over and over again by campers. That was the Euphrates Bridge experience. Don't try to defend it, ever. At number 11, Treyarch in Modern Warfare 2 2022. Now, I think Infinity Ward was trying to make some kind of arena-style map here because the layout seems like it would be fast-paced and circular with the flow, but in reality, it was one of the slowest maps in Modern Warfare 2, and that seems to be kind of the thing going on here, right? There's so many buildings and random corners for you to sit in, just pick people off when they come into your field of view, and since this was MW2 2022, well, those footsteps, they sounded like Godzilla coming in, which meant aggressive plays, once again, wiped off the table. Absolutely nobody moved on this map, and in a game like Modern Warfare 2 where hardly anybody moved in the first place, I think that is honestly saying something. That's a testament to how campy this map was. At number 10, Block with a C in COD4. I feel like this map has some nostalgia power attached to it because whenever I talk about it or I talk crap about it, there's one or two people in the comment section who come out and they actively defend it. It's okay. I mean, I guess at least we have a few campers in the Chaos community, right? Wink, wink. Block was unplayable if you were trying to move around. Set in a Russian courtyard, and about 90% of it was dark head glitches for snipers to hunker down so they could plague the other team from any distance. Just pick a window, hold the M40A3 up to your eyeball, and sit there for the entire match. If you were playing domination here, the winning team would always be the one who captured the B flag first, and it wasn't even uncommon for nobody to ever capture the B flag. The entire match, it would end in a draw. It was a long, slow, painful draw. You could have put Block in Modern Warfare 2019 and nobody would have suspected a thing. At number 9, Outskirts in World at War. Another rare Treyarch sighting today. Outskirts was one of the biggest maps in World at War, and even though there was a lot of routes to take from place to place, you didn't see very much movement here because of the wide open streets that made it really aggressive to play risky, but there was also the infamous church in the middle of the map. The entire map basically revolved around camping the church. If you could control the church, you could win the match. If your teammate controlled the church, you would camp around the church to defend that teammate. If the enemy team controlled the church, you would just camp in a place until someone on your team could snipe the enemy player in the church, at which point your team would move in and start camping the church. It was literally all about camping the church. If you weren't willing to camp the church or help your teammate camp the church, you might as well have just backed out and found a new lobby. And sure, that gave the map a pretty unique flow and experience compared to other maps in the game, but it was definitely a camper's paradise. How many times did I say camp the church? At number 8, Grozny Raid in Modern Warfare 2019. It's the greatest hits, right? Map really seems like it was a Google Earth image of a random urban area that Infinity Ward ported into the game and slapped a bunch of random spawn points onto it. I really feel that way. You got open streets. They overlooked by 50 different windows. You got a bunch of buildings that contributed nothing positive to the flow of the game. You've got objective placements that completely annihilated any semblance of momentum. You name it, it's here. It's actually pretty impressive. I really think Infinity Ward was just trying to show off their nice graphics and realistic environments with this map because there's no way that they thought this was a fun map to play on. Everyone was sitting in various windows and doorways. And if you ever tried to run out in the streets to be aggressive, you were done. At number 7, Red Star in Call of Duty Vanguard. I have compared Red Star to Block in a recent video. I think it's a good comparison, not to brag or anything here. Red Star, once again, set in a Russian courtyard once again, entirely based around camping the windows in the dark corners inside the buildings, and you will once again be shot from 10 different angles if you try to run out in the street or do anything other than camp inside the buildings. I don't know why Sledgehammer tried to make this map work, because surely they had to remember how bad this concept was for Block, right? Did nobody on the Vanguard development team play COD4? I know they did. They were way too similar for this to be any type of coincidence. At number 6, Bog in COD4. This is the epitome of a love it or hate it map, right? Do you love it? Do you hate it? It was known for the intense sniper battles that would take place from one end of the map to the other. It's also littered with camping spots, which is probably why a lot of people hated it. There was a bog wall where people would camp. There was a dumpster off to the side of the bog wall where people would camp. And there was a bus in the middle of the map where people would camp. There was shipping containers near the bus. Guess what? People camped there. There was 2 little shops across from the bus where, you guessed it, people camped. The whole thing was just a tense battle of who's going to get out camp first. If you enjoyed sniping in COD 4, you had a blast on Bog because it was 100% just long-range precision gameplay. If you wanted something a little more fast-paced and something not so dark, you hated this map. It was unique and little nostalgic trip down Call of Duty history. Who remembers the 1v1 between who was it? It was Wings and it was Tom. Yep. Who remembers that? Why did you stream this? Seriously. If you guys get that reference, you've been around for a while. Now we arrive at number 5. Siege in Call of Duty Ghost. The in-game description for Siege describes it as a map with lots of cover with plenty of spacious sightlines for open style combat. So if a game in Call of Duty Ghost is describing itself as a map with lots of cover, you know it's going to be a slow experience. Siege was a complete snooze fest. There was even a special field order here called the Missile Strike that would just kill anybody who didn't have overhead cover, which meant everyone was always sitting somewhere with cover. They didn't want to get hit by it. You probably blocked this map out of your memory, and I don't blame you for it, but Siege? Absolutely one of the most campy maps in Call of Duty history. This map was definitely designed by a group of campers sitting around at a table. At number 4, Estate in Modern Warfare 2 2009. Now this map was fun if you were the one in the mansion or on the hill, or maybe you were having some fun if you were sitting in the garage across the road from it, or maybe you were having fun if you were camping in that random building at the bottom of the hill. But no matter how you were having fun, you were camping. Camping is in the name of the game on this map. Just pick where you're going to camp, hunker down, because you're not going to have any success running around here. Back in the classic Modern Warfare 2 days, people were pretty split on this map due to how campy it was, and now that it's been remade a couple times, the community continues to be split due to the campy nature of the map. I mean, it's iconic for the golden age, but it's a camping paradise, and now that I think about it, we give this map too much love. Everybody says, oh yeah, bring back Estate, yeah, classic, whatever. It's not that good of a map if you ask me, and little fun Easter egg fact, who remembers the blow-up doll in the bathtub in the original? At number 3, Prison Break in Call of Duty Ghost. It takes a lot for a Call of Duty Ghost map to be seen as particularly campy, right? But Prison Break? It was probably the most camp-heavy map in the entire game, which is a massive accomplishment. Prison Break was massive, cluttered, full of power positions. You would just hunker down and then never move for the rest of the match. The only reason to run around this map was to try to find Bigfoot. That was it. It was a very rare Easter egg, but every once in a while, you'd see it happen. But of course, most people never saw Bigfoot on this map because they were camping in one of the buildings where he didn't spawn. He spawned out in the woods, guys, behind a tree. That's the only reason you didn't see him. It's because you were camping. Number 2, Piccadilly in Modern Warfare 2019. A lot of people consider this to be the worst map in Call of Duty history. I actually made a video dedicated to this map about how it was the single worst map in the franchise. Not sure why I did it, but I did. I'm not sure if I still feel that way, but it's bottom 5. And a major reason for that is the sheer amount of camping spots. Dark windows, random alleyways, second-story buildings with one way up, one way down, staircases with nowhere to go, you name it, it's here. The map, well, the flow sucks. Literally not possible to play aggressively on this map. And I'm sure Infinity Ward was very proud of the fact they made it look like a real-world location, which they did. It was beautiful. That doesn't mean much to players when the flow was that bad. And at number 1 today, I'm going to go with Derail in Modern Warfare 2 2009. This may have been a pretty cool looking snow map, but it was also probably the least fun map in Call of Duty history. The map was so open, the vantage points were so spread out from one another that the entire match would be decided by whoever got to those vantage points first. Literally every single match was the same. Whoever spawned on the side with the 2-story building would win the match because they would go to the windows, they would set up shop. If you tried to charge the building, the person camping there would see you coming from a mile away, literally. If you ran all the way around the map, you would get lasered by somebody tucked away in a window or a corner somewhere. It was quite literally impossible to play aggressively on this map, and I am amazed they brought this back in Modern Warfare 3 2023. I know Sledgehammer was dedicated to remaking all the classic Modern Warfare 2 maps for that game, but did anybody want this? Raise your hand. Did you? I'm 1,000% convinced that all the campers in Infinity Ward back in 2009 got together. Yeah, they went out to lunch and they said, let's make this map and then let's bring it back. This map was a camper's... this was a camper's wet dream. Obviously deserves to be number 1 today. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know some maps that did not make this list that should have. And if you do follow me over on Spotify, guys, make sure to leave that 5-star rating. I'll see you soon.